Welcome to Taxes and Treats. This is a vlog post where I dig into tax topics and toss in some fun treats along the way. For those of you just tuning in, my name is Amber. I am a CPA, a tax preparer, a small firm owner, a law student, and also a dog mom and a yoga enthusiast. I started this vlog because I wanted to talk about tax topics that I think are interesting. I may even throw in a couple of tax cases that I think are cool, and then also just kind of to give some small business owners some insight into what's going on in the accounting industry and how that affects them, and just update you about life in California and what it's like to be a law student and an entrepreneur at the same time. It's definitely been a crazy ride. My first year of law school is almost over. I just, last Friday, I took my first final exam for the semester. It's legal writing. It ends like a month before the rest of my classes do. So I have that final that I took last Friday, and then two more finals close to the end of this month and early May. So starting to wind down, which is wild. And then we've got 5 days until the tax filing deadline. So it has been a bear. I feel like I've been dragging myself through this tax season, but it's almost over. And honestly, it went a lot smoother than I thought it was going to. At the beginning of this tax season, I was very nervous about being able to do it all. But I think what I discovered, what was a huge benefit to me this year, was one, I implemented a new customer, I think it's called CRM, Customer Resource Management System. I should know what that stands for, but I just don't. I'm not an IT person. That's my brother's wheelhouse. But I implemented this new tax software called TaxDome, and it worked really well because it sent all the documents to my clients, any information they needed. It was all automated, all the emails that updated them. I had to send like a couple of messages, but almost everything else was I just clicked a button and it would send an email letting them know this or that, or like it collected all their tax documents for me, which was really nice. So if you are a new firm owner, if you're starting your own tax practice, or even it does bookkeeping as well. I've been using it for my bookkeeping. Highly recommend looking into TaxDome. It's kind of pricey, but I feel like it is definitely worth it. It has free electronic signatures like included with the software. I believe it's free. I haven't been charged for them yet, so unlimited storage, so I was able to get rid of Dropbox, which was awesome. I promise this isn't going to be a whole like tax dome like ad, but I very impressed with how well it worked. So I would definitely look into it if you're starting your own practice and you don't know what to use to kind of manage your clients. And there's a lot of support too, which I didn't find with other tax management systems. So, and it has a legal side to it. So whenever I finish law school, I can implement that as well. So pretty excited to see how that all works together in the long run. But yeah, law school is almost over. The first semester, or the first year of law school, is almost over. And so now it's looking into what classes I want to take over the summer. And I finally get to take some electives, which I'm pretty excited about. So today I wanted to talk about a shift that's been happening in the tax industry and just in the accounting industry as a whole. Something like 75% of CPAs and tax preparers are retiring in the next 5 years. And I think small business owners have already started to kind of feel that shift. They're finding it harder to find a preparer who will work for them. They're paying higher fees. A lot of people are going on extension because their preparer just doesn't have enough time to finish their taxes on top of all the other work that they're doing. I mean, I've even gotten some clients who've reached out to me and said, I can't get a hold of my preparer. I think something happened to them. So, which has been really scary. And I always like warn my clients, I'm like, even if, because through TaxDome they have access to their tax documents, and I'm always willing to send them copies of their returns if they ask for them. But I always warn them, like, you need to keep these somewhere on your computer just in case something happens to me. Like, I might be fairly healthy, I may be young for a tax preparer, but I jog at night, which is probably not the safest thing in the world, and something could happen to me. You just never know. So I always kind of stress on the importance of making sure that you're not using me as document retention, and you shouldn't use your preparer as document retention anyway, because at the end of the day, if you were to get audited, the IRS is not going to accept, well, my preparer, something happened to them and I couldn't get a copy of my tax return. Like, in the IRS's eyes, it's your responsibility to keep track of your tax return. But yeah, it's been very scary. It's something that has been talked about since I was in school for my accounting degree. They were really pushing for people to get their CPA license because at that point they were like, 10 years from now, this is going to get really bad. We're going to have this pipeline issue. Not enough people are going into the accounting industry for whatever reason. I think a lot of people view the accounting industry as it's a lot of work, and people don't want to work long hours during tax season. And so it's just not, I mean, honestly, the feedback that most people are getting is that they just don't view the accounting industry as that sexy, and so they don't want to go into it. They'd rather go into like finance or marketing or whatever. I always kind of throw out to people who are struggling to figure out what they want to do with their lives. I always kind of throw out like, just do one tax return and see if you like it. If you do, you know, there's a place for you. Like, you could make a ton of money doing that one thing if it's something that you enjoy doing. And you just never know. I know a lot of people who were like, well, I just kind of like stepped into it, and now all of a sudden, I mean, that's essentially what happened to me. I graduated initially with a business degree. I graduated during the recession. I could not find a job anywhere. I was just working in the service industry. I worked in retail. I did a couple of like, I worked in restaurants and stuff, and could not find like a decent job. And then I went and worked at Toys R Us, of all places, and they needed help in the cash office. And so I did it for a little while, and part of the job was that you had to do these daily like audits. And I was like hooked. It was so fascinating to me. So I was like, I'll go back and get my accounting degree. Like, why not? Maybe this is something that will be interesting to me. And because I already had a business degree, I had enough hours to sit for the CPA exam after I was done with my accounting degree. And it's just kind of all blossomed from there. When the pool of tax professionals shrinks to a certain point, you have people who are missing deductions, you have people who are paying higher costs to get their taxes done because they need to rush to get them filed. Or the scary part is you have people who are just avoiding filing their taxes altogether because they just can't find anybody to help them. And now the other issue is that because there are fewer tax professionals in the industry, it's kind of allowed for more bad actors to come into the accounting field, and they either lie about their credentials or they get just the base level credentials that they need to be able to prepare a tax return, and they either flat out file a fraudulent return or they file a return without having enough knowledge about how to do taxes, that they end up making mistakes or they miss common deductions for clients. I mean, I get tax returns all the time where it's somebody who owns a business that they work out of their home and the home office deduction is missing, or they have a rental property but they haven't been deducted depreciation for the last few years. But teachers, the biggest thing I see get missed is people don't take the education expense deduction on the tax return. I'm like, that's $600 direct deduction from their adjusted gross income and you just missed it. So it, and then the fraudulent preparers, the term that's being used is ghost preparers, is basically they promise you, like, we're going to give you this massive refund, and you may be a W 2 only employee. You have one W 2. Like, you could go easily file your return on TurboTax, but then you hear a commercial that says, oh, but if you come to me, I can guarantee that I get you a refund. That guarantee comes at a cost of them filing a fraudulent return and hoping you get your refund back before the IRS catches it. And then once you pay them your fee for doing the tax return, they disappear. They shut down the business, they don't sign the tax return. And when the IRS comes calling saying, hey, you got a $3,000 refund that you weren't entitled to, you don't have anybody to turn to help you prove that you didn't intentionally make that mistake. And a lot of people just don't know enough about how to read a tax return to catch something like that. Like, they just see bottom line, oh, I'm getting a $3,000 refund, cool. When somebody who knows just enough about taxes would be able to look at it and see, well, you're getting the $3,000 refund because you're taking a loss of $45,000 on the Schedule C and you don't own a business. So things like that are happening. And in addition, after years of tax preparers kind of being, I don't want to say taken advantage of, but it's almost like for a while there were too many CPAs in the field. There were too many people working, and they were kind of fighting over, who to work with, and trying to get business in the door, especially small firm owners. Whereas now, a small firm owner, I mean, tax clients are literally falling out of the sky. Like, there's just no competition. Like, it's kind of the golden era of being an accountant, because as stressful as it is and how much work there is to do, you're able to, there's a lot more trust, and we work together and give each other advice. And a lot of CPAs now are like specializing in certain industries. So if somebody comes to me and they're like, I need help with my cryptocurrency, I don't know anything about that, but I have 3 other CPAs that I can refer you to who can help you with that stuff. Whereas, like, if somebody goes to a CPA and is like, they're a lawyer, maybe that CPA doesn't work with them, but because I work with a lot of lawyers and because I'm in law school, they get referred to me. So it's kind of nice, because it's like the people who should be your competition are actually your referral source, because we're just kind of like, I don't specialize in this, but you can go here. And we pass around advice, like what accounting software to use. Like I didn't know that the IRS had switched over their 1099 reporting system last year, and I found that out through a tax preparer Facebook group. And had that not happened, like, my clients wouldn't have gotten their 1099s filed in time. So it's been really nice, but the flip side to that is, because we're not competing with each other, and because there's this huge influx of business, some tax preparers are kind of taking advantage of it. And I mean, make your money, like, that's fine. I have nothing against a CPA who wants to charge what they're worth. I think the thing that I struggle with is the making tax knowledge inaccessible to small business owners, because every huge business that you hear about, they didn't start out that way. They started off as some tiny little mom and pop shop, and it grew into this thing. For the most part, some of my favorite brands started as small little side gigs that somebody was doing, and they grew it into this huge industry. And one of my favorite businesses, it's Noir 5. They're a vegan lotion and shampoo and soap shop in Louisville, and they're the only vegan, because I have to use vegan soap because I'm just very delicate and sensitive to smells and everything, but The downside to using vegan soap is a lot of times the smell isn't very potent and it doesn't stay on you very long. They're the only soap and lotion that I've been able to use where I can actually smell nice, like all day. I can smell it all day. It doesn't fade or anything. I mean, she's a very special product, and she literally started off just like making the stuff in her home, and now she has a shop like on Frankfurt Avenue, a whole store to herself, and that happened in like a year. And it's like, I don't want to prevent businesses from growing like that just because they can't get their taxes done or they can't understand their taxes enough to find the right preparer and be able to work with them seamlessly. Um, so one of the benefits, as I've said in my last podcast about living in California, is there's this culture of collaboration here where people share ideas. It's almost like the accounting industry, but on a larger scale, because it's like in the accounting industry, we just kind of talk to each other about accounting stuff. But the nice thing about being able to collaborate with people who don't work in our industry is it gives you ideas about things that you haven't thought of before. So recently I joined this organization called Biz Bitches, which at first I was like, I don't know, because I'm an accountant, like, and a law student. Like, curse words probably shouldn't be my jam, but honestly, they are. Like, but it's a really great community of women entrepreneurs who all kind of have their niche, and it's been really cool, like pulling information from different people and getting ideas from folks that I would have never thought of in a million years. So one of the members of this organization, this community, Biz Bitches, is Anne Marie, and she did a workshop this morning about doing workshops. It was called the Workshop, and it was like this light bulb moment of like, I obviously can't afford to do everyone's taxes, but if I could help small business owners on a larger scale understand their taxes, understand their tax obligations, what they need to do to comply, how they need to plan for paying their taxes, that could have so much more of an impact than just doing the tax return. So that's kind of what's coming down the pipeline for me, and what's going to be happening over the summer, because I'm going to try and knock it out before the next semester of law school starts. But yeah, this idea of like, if business owners could at the very least understand like, these are the documents I need to provide a tax preparer to get my taxes done, that would make you so much more desirable as a client. Tax preparers are becoming, because there's just so much business right now, people are becoming more selective about who they take on as clients. And if you call them and you're like, I don't know what forms to file, I don't know what receipts to give you, things like that, a lot of tax preparers will get nervous and they won't want to work with you because they have established clients who already understand that stuff. But if you call them up and you're like, I already have a spreadsheet with all my tax information on there, and I have these forms ready, that's going to make you a lot more, attractive as a client to another tax professional. It might also make it easier for them to just go to, you know, just like a one-stop shop like H&R Block or whatever, or even just file your taxes on Intuit. But that kind of got me thinking, like, wouldn't it be nice if like we had levels of like, here's where you can start off. Oh, this is just a side gig for you. Okay, that's fine. Some side gigs blow up and become huge businesses one day. So you just never know. But it would be nice if like that person who has a side gig, I mean, if you only make $200 in it, let's say you have an Etsy shop and makes $200 a year. I have an Etsy shop and I don't even think it makes $15 a year. Like, I mean, you're not making enough income on that business to warrant paying a $500, $600 tax prep fee. But if you can understand your taxes enough to just file through TurboTax, then it's justified. Whereas, like, maybe that business grows the next year and you need a little bit more understanding. Well, what if you could hop into a workshop and get more understanding about how the Schedule C works, how the home office deduction works, when is it a good time to do an S corporation election, things of that nature that like has not been accessible to tax preparers up or to small business owners up until now. If I could make that accessible, it could be huge. It could make a massive impact. And I think at the end of the day, what lights me up and what I enjoy most about my business is making my clients' dreams come true. If you want to be a small business owner, if you want to be an entrepreneur, I feel like you should be able to do that. I mean, I kind of think about it as if we had to do I did another workshop yesterday about how to do reels, which was really fascinating. But one of the reels we did was like 3 things I wish I had known before I started my business. And everyone was kind of like, oh my gosh, like everything. I wish I had known how broke I was going to be. I wish I had known I was going to be working 24 hours a day, and it's almost like running a business is almost like having a baby. It's exhausting. It's time consuming. You feel like you're going to die all the time. Um, it's probably one of the most like it's honestly kind of a nightmare, but then it's also one of the most beautiful and um rewarding experiences that you may ever have. Being able to make your own schedule, being able to choose what clients you want to work with and which ones you don't, having a say in how you live your life, how much money you make. It's it's really the best thing. I mean, I probably wouldn't be able to do law school if I didn't already own a business. I am just feeling so inspired right now. But if you are a small business owner, if anything about this is appealing to you, feel free to follow along, hit subscribe, follow me on Instagram, because that's probably where I'll be posting most of the information. And let me know, like, what you're confused about, what you have questions about, because you may see it in a workshop someday or on a tax training video or whatever. Or it might even just be something as simple as something I can answer in an Instagram post. So I'm very excited about this. And until next time, may your tax season be smooth and your treat jar be full.